Hi everyone, this is my first live session through StreamYard. I want to say hi to everybody who is joining through YouTube, our Facebook page called Career Angels, and my private LinkedIn profile. For those who do not know me, my name is Sandra Bichel and I run Career Angels. Career Angels is a career and HR boutique advisory. And we basically help people find jobs. Now, a year ago, a bit more than a year ago, 12.5 months ago, the pandemic hit the rest of Europe, meaning outside of Italy. And as you can imagine, the majority of our clients, the CEOs and CMOs and CHROs of the world, had a very important questions to us, the career advisors, which was, how bad is it really? I just got a job offer. Should I change now? Should I change later? Should I think about changing my job? Is this a good moment? And when you're a career advisor, you want to make sure that the advice you share is competent advice. So how do you know if it is a good moment to change? How do you know how good or bad the job market is? So exactly a year ago, we asked ourselves, okay, how do we know if the job market is good or bad? Do we look at unemployment? But the unemployment rates are reported with a delay. What kind of KPI can we actually look at ourselves without having to rely on other people's opinions? So a year ago, we started tracking the number of published job ads on LinkedIn. Why did we choose LinkedIn? Because LinkedIn is relevant for our client base. And we looked at a number of job ads that were published on LinkedIn to understand our company's hiring at a level that is hired through LinkedIn as a platform. We wanted to understand whether companies were moving away from LinkedIn as a platform to look for cheaper local alternatives. So tracking the number of published job ads on LinkedIn is not a perfect KPI, but it is a KPI that gives a pretty good feeling of how the job market is doing, how confident companies are when it comes to what will happen next on the market. We started tracking first 18 countries in March 2020, we then extended it to 36 countries in the European Union. And since mid-September 2020, we tracked 80 countries worldwide on all continents. So what do we know? We know that the world overall, when you look at Africa, Americas, Europe, and the top 20 economies worldwide, agree to disagree when it comes to how to react to the pandemic. But we had a couple of moments where the world actually synchronized. In November 16, so from November 16 to November 23, the entire world decided to decrease the number of people they wanted to hire. And since March 1st of this year, the world is completely in sync. And first, for 2 weeks, they increased the hiring, then there was a slight decrease. And since March 2020, across almost 80 countries, we see an increase in hirings across 80 countries, which is a very good sign. So who and how do we track specifically? So when it comes to the Americas, we track North America, Canada, Mexico, the United States, Central America, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama. And in South America, Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Paraguay, Peru, Uruguay, and Venezuela. Looking at the Americas, what we know is that overall, since week 39 of last year, there has been an overall upward trend when it comes of the published number of job ads on LinkedIn. In other words, in those countries, companies overall are hiring. There is a precise upward trend. In week 39, which was the worst week since we've been monitoring the Americas, there were a little above 5 million job ads published, and now we're almost at 7 million, to be precise, 6.7 million. The biggest overall increases go to Paraguay with an increase of 368% of job ads, or Argentina with an increase of more than 200%. The biggest decrease, for example, goes to Panama, and that also says a bit. Panama has a decrease of only 3.35%, so that's good. If you want to have a look at how the specific countries are doing on a level and on country by country level, you can go onto the website careerangels.eu/market signals, and you can download the full report that summarizes last year. Then let's have a look at Africa. In Africa, we track the biggest 10 economies from a GDP perspective, which is Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, Algeria, Morocco, Ethiopia, Kenya, Angola, Ghana, and Tanzania. And there we can see that overall Africa was stable until February 4. So it had a stable number of published job ads, and then on February 4 and since February 4 until March 1st, all 10 countries saw a decrease in the number of job ads. Since March 1st, we fortunately see an upward trend. So comparing the initial numbers, when we started tracking the top 10 African economies, there were almost 500,000 job ads published on LinkedIn. The worst result was in week 9 of 2021 at 195,000. So a tremendous decrease and drop. When we look at more the biggest, let's call it the biggest and the losers of the African economies, Ethiopia has seen an increase of 152%, Morocco 149%, Egypt 145%. So we see an increase. The losers of Africa in terms of published job ads on LinkedIn is South Africa with a drop of 50%. So the job market in South Africa that is on LinkedIn has shrunk by half. And followed by Angola, which has seen a drop of only 3.8%. And again, if you're more interested in what's happening in Africa, I invite you to go again to our website, careerangels.eu/market signals, and there you can download the full report, which we updated. We have prepared 2 reports as of today. And this one that you can find right now includes the March 2021 update. Then I also mentioned that we track the top 20 global economies, who here we look at as a source, we look at the International Monetary Fund, and for population, the the United Nations Population Division. So the top 20 global economies are the United States, China, Japan, Germany, UK, India, France, Italy, Canada, South Korea, Russia, Brazil, Australia, Spain, Indonesia, Mexico, Netherlands, Switzerland, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. Number 21 would be Poland, but it didn't make the list. So how are the top 20 global economies doing comparing mid-September of last year to week 13 of this year? The winners overall, except for 5 countries, so 75% of the global economies that recruit through LinkedIn see a decrease an increase in the number of job ads, which again is positive. So overall, we see an upward trend globally when it comes to the confidence and whether it makes sense to hire people and how many to hire. So Mexico, on the plus side, Mexico is on the lowest level with an increase of 13.99%, and Turkey sees the biggest increase with 74%. So this year, there are 74% more job ads on LinkedIn than mid-September of last year. Brazil sees an increase of 60%, Switzerland plus 53%, Saudi Arabia plus 51%, Spain plus 46%, etc., etc. When we go a little bit, etc., etc., maybe it's also worth mentioning the 25% that have not seen an increase in the number of job ads. So where the confidence in the job market or in the market overall in terms of hiring being a little bit slower in deciding to hire a lot of people would be Indonesia, France with a drop of 20%, Germany minus 88%, Netherlands, and Russia minus 100 and 108%. So those job markets have halved since mid-September of last year. What you're probably interested in, and everybody asks us, so how are the United States doing? Since we've started observing them with 2 or 3 minor exceptions, the United States job market has seen an increase in the number of job ads. We've gone from 4.3 million to currently 5.6 million. What were the drops? The drops were for the election in November, then followed by Thanksgiving. So for a week, nobody hired. And then again, we see another drop with the new year, where again, for a week or two, nobody hired in the States. And aside from those drops that are directly linked to holidays or major events happening in the States, we see an upward trend. In the UK, well, the UK has been fairly stable since we've started tracking the number of published job ads on LinkedIn there. The only difference was around the New Year's, where basically from one day to another, 250 job ads disappeared that were republished just a week or two later. So nothing really to worry about. China, also interesting how that was linked to an important cultural event. So China and how to use LinkedIn job ads was kind of stable until February 15, which coincides with the end or the beginning of the Chinese New Year. And since February 15, Monday, February 15, we see a spike and an increase of the number of companies hiring through LinkedIn there. So again, positive trend. If you want to see and have a look at a more detailed look in when it comes to the top 20 economies, again, I'd like to refer you to the website Market Signals, the section Market Signals on our company page, careerangels.eu, where you can download the full report. Because we're based in Europe and because 93% of our clients are in Europe, we also track in much more detail what's happening in Europe. We have divided, so we track not only the countries on a country level, but we also summarize the different regions: Southeastern Europe, Western Europe, Northern Europe, the Visegrad countries, Southern Europe, the Baltic states, Benelux, DACH, and Iberia. For those who have been following in the past, you know that we prepare weekly reports on European countries that are published on Saturdays in the afternoon. And you might know that usually I do videos on what will be published a day or two later. We will now switch to monthly live summaries, what I'm doing now as a test run. And we will do bi-weekly live sessions on general topics around HR and career. So the overall winner as a region, looking at COVID-19 times, since week 13 of last year compared to week 14 of this year, 2021. The Baltic states have seen an increase of 215.95%. So they are soaring in terms of a region in COVID times and in terms of job markets. Then in terms of a country, at the very beginning of COVID-19, Norway had only published 4,537 job ads. And this has now increased to over 30,000. So that's an increase of 562%. A good time to be in Norway now when you're looking for a job. The overall loser in terms of region in Europe are the Benelux countries, Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. And because of how big the Dutch job market is, the Dutch country influences the fact that Benelux as a region is the loser or the losing country, the losing region. So overall, they've seen a drop in the number of job ads of 32%. So 1/3 of the job market on LinkedIn disappeared. I have already mentioned the Netherlands that influenced that result the most from a regional perspective. The biggest loser country is the Netherlands with a drop of 49.04%. Followed by Germany as a country where the biggest drop was over just before Christmas, December 21st. The German job market has seen a decrease of overall 38.91%, comparing week 13 of last year to week 13 of this year. There were moments where the job market had shrunk by up to almost 80%, 78 if I remember correctly. But since February 8 of this year, there's finally a positive upward trend. As you can also see, for those who are joining on YouTube, Facebook, and through LinkedIn, you can ask questions. I have technical support making sure that I can answer everything that I see your comments. And thank you for the comments so far. We also looked at the overall trends in the various countries. So the most stability when it comes to a candidate's perspective were Lithuania with an upward trend, Latvia stable with an upward trend, Bulgaria relatively stable, Hungary first saw a drop, but ever since the drop that happened at the very beginning of the pandemic, it's been stable with a stable increase. The least stable countries have been Italy, France, Poland, and Spain. The overall best upward tendencies have been Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Estonia, and Norway. When talking and summarizing what's happening on the job market, we need to mention the smallest countries: Albania, Andorra, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Cyprus, Moldova, Montenegro, and North Macedonia, because, well, on a small job market like Andorra, the moment, sometimes there are only 5 job ads up, and the moment there are 100 job ads, it's an increase of 2,000%. So when preparing our statistics, we're mindful, and we sometimes exclude those countries to not falsify or misrepresent the whole region just because Andorra has another 5 new job ads. For those who have been tracking our market signals for some time, you also know we not only look at data, but also at the comments. So what can we say about the pandemic? You will have seen comments and commentaries that we have collected from C-level executives, HR directors, and executive search consultants. And comments ranged from the business suffered, all recruitment processes are frozen, it's really bad, we are laying off a lot of people, we're looking for savings, we went bankrupt, I lost my job, to business is blooming, we're hiring, we don't plan any layoffs, we've had record sales, everything is normal, the gains exceeded the expectations, or it's been one of the best years in the history of our company. We currently have a poll out on LinkedIn where we ask, so how do you, on a personal, professional level, compare the first quarter of 2021 as opposed to the whole year of 2020? And more than half say it's better or at least the same. We also collected best practices that were implemented in companies, from, of course, shifting to remote work, how they do it. Now we are really interested in seeing how companies come up with hybrid work scenarios, or some have already declared to stay fully remote until at least the end of 2021, 22. One of those companies is Microsoft. If you're a candidate on the job market, you want to track the supply and demand side of candidates. You want to know if and how many more candidates you are competing against. So you want to track unemployment rates. You want to know if and how many companies are hiring. And for that, here are a couple of tips, though I don't want to make this into a job search webinar. Make sure with today's technology and job market to have two different types of CVs. The CV you share with the humans on the job market, so with recruiters and your network, and that you send directly to companies, and to have a second version of your CV, which is dedicated to applicant tracking systems. As a candidate, you have to use all 4 job search channels, which you could get away with only using 2 before COVID-19, but now really make sure, if you're proactively looking, to get in touch with headhunters, apply to job ads, even at a C-level, use the direct approach and network. And very important, because the unemployment rates have increased in all European countries, make sure you have a consistent personal brand across all channels. If you'd like to discuss your career, your job search efforts with somebody, feel free to get in touch with me by email. You can ask me and my team for a confidential and fully free of charge career consultation or CV report. And to finish up with my first live session, feel free to have a look at careerangels.eu/market signals to have access to all the reports, to all the special reports we have published in the last 6 months. You will see that some special reports are not released yet to the public. If you want early or even live access, send me an email with the subject line "Special Report Subscriber," and to the selected few, we release the reports the moment we have access to them. Well, thank you very much for everybody joining on YouTube, Facebook, and through LinkedIn. If you have any questions or you'd like to share your own comments and observations on a job market, please get in touch with me either through the comments or directly by email. Thank you very much and have a good holiday break.